Hello everyone, welcome back to Allcarnews, and I am super happy to bring you guys today the all-new Volvo EX30. If you've been following our channel for quite some time now, you would know that around 2 years ago, we were invited over into Manhattan to have a really quick first look at the Volvo EX30 in a static indoor presentation. We were able to test out the software and get a really good early on impression of what this vehicle will be delivering. And now we finally have been able to have the all-new Volvo EX30 here for a full week of testing over at Allcarnews. And in this video, I hope to explain to you guys how this car is like to live with over the course of a week for us, how it is in terms of its charging capability, in terms of its honestly wild performance capability, practicality, and a lot of the interesting and many quirks and features that this car definitely brings to offer, aside from its really bright moss yellow paint option as we have here. This is Volvo's smallest entry-level electric vehicle now in the United States markets. Hopefully, with its production moving from China over back to Europe, we may see some tariffs be reduced and maybe prices will go down in the future. But for this video, we're gonna again take you guys on a full tour and review of all the interesting quirks and features of this vehicle. So let's go dive in and get started. So folks, what's under the hood here of this Volvo EX30? Well, I am happy to report that under the hood, there is actually a front trunk, though I'm not sure what you will be storing in there because it is literally 0.2 cubic feet of storage space. You have a little door here to open it up, and you get a cool little graphic underneath here with a moose and a Volvo car and a cool mountain area. But I can't even fit the Volvo supplied charger that for level 2 in here. It's actually that tiny. Under the skin though is where the fun stuff comes in this Volvo EX30. This is a little performance monster. I almost want to call it a Polestar EX30. It is that wild. This thing combined with both front and rear motors is making 422 horsepower and 400 pound-feet of torque in a mini Volvo that only weighs around 42-ish hundred pounds, which is pretty light for an EV. Really impressive stuff here. Turn off traction control, turn on the performance all-wheel drive mode, and this thing really can almost like kind of get a little bit sideways into a corner. It's actually incredibly of a cool experience. It could even do the quarter mile in 11.8 seconds. So yeah, this thing is a little beast. 0 to 60 in around 3.5 seconds, a little bit under in some probably good conditions. Really impressive stuff here. So performance and power wise, this thing is really impressive, and all of that is fueled from around a 69 kilowatt hour gross battery pack. Around 64-ish kilowatt hours of that is usable. But let's go talk about charging. So what about charging performance on this tiny little Volvo EX30? Well, you're gonna find your charge port located on the driver's side over here with this door. So literally just press it and it opens up right and easy there. So no power operation there, which I think is actually totally fine. I feel like those aren't going to be very reliable in the long term. But nonetheless, we do have a little charging icon right here in the form of a lightning bolt, which I think is kind of cool. It's charging. No NACS port over here in the United States as of yet. I think that may come down the road, but like I mentioned up front, you can either use the magic connector on the Tesla superchargers, or if you have an adapter like we have under the hood over there, and you can use that as well where applicable. So definitely, again, make sure that works in your area. Now, this can charge around 153-ish kilowatts. I think Volvo claims on their website in some areas it can go up to a little over around 170 kilowatts. We literally just charged this vehicle today from around 19% to 60%, and it literally took like 15 minutes and added around 153 miles of range. So that was really impressive. They claim 10 to 80% in around 30 minutes. Totally believe that. Again, range figures are around 253-ish miles. I totally believe that, as well as honestly, that's pretty much what I have gotten in this week of testing. We started around this week in the mid-90s of battery percentage, went all the way down to around 19%, like I just mentioned. And if I took the estimated range that was left there, around 40-ish miles, with the range that we drove, which was around 208 miles, that's just right around that EPA figure. So I think it's pretty accurate, I would say, which is nice. Now also on this vehicle, we have around 11 kilowatts for our level 2 charging speed, which thankfully is actually a pretty good number. And the Google Maps system inside is pretty good at helping you find and locate a charger. Though you can also use that Google Play Store to download other apps such as PlugShare, or just use your Apple CarPlay integration and use that to help find a charger as well. Now, one of the most amazing things about this vehicle that I've loved since I saw this thing around 2 years ago is its design language. I think this is one of the coolest looking small EVs on the market right now. This is technically classed as an SUV, even though it's pretty low to the ground. Now, there is a cross-country variant coming, and in Volvo speak, that just means it's going to get a little bit more ground clearance, a little bit more body cladding, and we may see like an off-road mode or something thrown onto there as well. So stay tuned for that if you want a little bit more of a capable EX30. This one is pretty low to the ground though, but regardless, I think it looks absolutely awesome. Up front over here, we have a more EV-esque version of Volvo's signature design language. So we have those really unique Thor's hammer LED lights. Coming down here though, we're not gonna find any sort of fog light as well. So the vehicle is so low, I don't really think you need them. So I wouldn't worry about that up front over here. And the rest of the fascia is very, very smooth. We have that signature Volvo Iron Mark logo in the center and the smooth front fascia. Cameras are hidden over there, as well as some stuff for our radar adaptive cruise control and settings. Now, thankfully, there are plenty of paint options you can actually choose on the EX30, so you don't have to go with this moss yellow bright finish. There's a really wonderful blue, which we just actually saw driving around today, as well as more traditional colors as well. So don't feel like you're stuck to this particular one that Volvo did loan us for the week. Now, popping over here to the side of the EX30, let's have a look at the wheels and tire situation over here. So we have Michelin Primacy all-season tires on this particular one. So we have a square tire setup around the vehicle as well with 245 R19s. And I think this wheel option is actually quite nice. I think it fits the fun character of the EX30 really well. It's a more of an aerodynamic styled wheel. We have this kind of nice aluminum finish over here, as well as a center finish over here, which is definitely designed more for aerodynamics, and this gloss black over here. But what's also really impressive and what you cannot see over here is the absolute fantastic suspension system that Volvo has put on this vehicle. This is just a wonderful car on the road to drive, which we'll definitely dive into more in the driving impressions, but it does just a great job going over any sort of pavement, any kind of bumps, undulations, rocky road. Even if you're driving on cobblestone, I think the driving experience as a passenger inside of this car is truly a premium experience, and that I think sets it apart from a lot of other mainstream competitors. Now, coming over to the side of the Volvo EX30, we do need to talk about the key fob situation. You're gonna notice on the EX30, you can only passively open and lock this vehicle from one door handle. Not the passenger side, not any of the rear passenger side, only the driver door handle can you use your hand to just touch it or lock it by your finger here. Now, some other interesting stuff is Volvo is gonna give you a key card, as you see right here, which looks like a credit card. A lot of vehicles are doing this today, and a key fob. But this key fob is actually buttonless. It really is only meant for like passive entry and exit, so you can just keep it in your purse or your pocket or whatever, and you can walk up into the vehicle, it'll know you're coming up to it, the lights will do the dance, and you can just use your hand there to unlock and lock stuff. Let's say if you use this key fob, or if you use this credit card here, you actually have to tap it on the pillar here where this little NFC reader chip icon is to lock and unlock the vehicle, as there's no sensors in here to know if you're coming too and close from the vehicle to do all that stuff. So you have two options there. Now, you can also use your Volvo app to lock and unlock the vehicle, or you can also use your phone as well. So if you have an iPhone, you can set up the key card within your Apple Wallet, and that will be a much more easier way, I think, to use this vehicle as well, but that's another thing you do have to set up. Now, Volvo's fun and quirky design themes continue around the rear of the EX30. This particular one is getting a two-tone paint finish. So we have a gloss black roof up here, which is nice, and of course this moss yellow paint down here. And I really like the taillights on this car. They do a really cool animation when you're starting or locking the vehicle. They look really distinctive. You know this is going to be a Volvo on the road. The rear design of this vehicle is really slim and trim. It almost reminds me of like an Evoque or a Range Rover Velar in that esque of how it's designed, which I think is pretty cool. It looks premium and sporty. So what's going on with the cargo space of this Volvo EX30? Well, back here we have a little small button located within this black trim to open up our rear trunk. Press that. It is a nice powered tailgate, which I do really appreciate on this EX30. We also have a cargo cover over here, and I really like this little icon up here, which shows you how much stuff you could actually fit within the Volvo EX30. It's really cool. But that only means because this is a small cargo space. If you fold down the second row seats, you'll get around 31.9-ish cubic feet of cargo space. But with this second row up, you're only getting around 11 to 12-ish cubic feet of cargo space, which is very small for an SUV. You could probably fit one full-size suitcase on here. That might be it with that second row folded up. So you definitely got to keep that in mind with this Volvo EX30. Now, you do have a full floor over here that does open up. That's going to open up another around 2.2-ish cubic feet of cargo space. We actually have our Volvo charger that they provided with the vehicle here, which is actually doesn't even fit under the front trunk because that space is so small. So this vehicle is definitely on the smaller side when it comes to cargo space. Definitely keep that in mind if you're shopping around. If you need more cargo space, consider upgrading to the 40 series of Volvo. There's also the XC60, which of course is gas or plug-in hybrid, and of course XC90 or fully electric EX90 as well. So you have options within the Volvo lineup. So everyone, in the rear of the Volvo EX30, it is honestly very, very, very tiny. This is my driving position, and I have moved it up a little bit, but I am 6 feet tall, and as you can see, it is a snug space to be in the rear seats over here. My knees are hitting the back of the seat back. My feet have not much room to move around in, and so yeah, if you're sitting in the rear of this vehicle, it's definitely going to be for kids mostly, or if you really want to squish yourself up there if you're taller, that might be a little bit better for you. We do have seat back pockets rear over here, so we have both of those over here available, but it is it's definitely on the smaller side, and I'm not too sure how easy it would be to fit a car seat in here as well. I could definitely see that being a little bit of a tight situation, especially as this is how far the door opens. It's not really at a 90-degree angle whatsoever as well. But let's see what else you're getting in the rear seats over here, because overall I think it's a pretty unique and fun space. So guys, as I mentioned, the rear seats of the EX30 are very tiny, but let's see what else you get back here as a rear passenger if you are sitting back here. So like I said, getting in is a really, really tight maneuvering. I think it's blinking there because the door's open and the seatbelt is not on for me. But our door panel here is quite interesting. So up here we have real metal. This is a real metal door handle right here, which is kind of nice, and this feels very premium. This is a soft touch material we find in a lot of other Volvos over here, and this material right here is actually from flax grown in Sweden. So that's really cool. It uses a lot less energy and waste to make, and I think it's a really cool renewable recyclable style trim piece in the interior. This lower panel over here is made from 30% recycled materials, I believe, as well. So you kind of see that in its construction, though it is a harder plastic style recycled material, so keep that in mind. We also have this really nice kind of woven fabric material that we find on the seats as well for our interior door card. So it's a very premium, sustainable interior design theme. This is the mist theme as well. So let's close up our door here. Very nice solid thunk. It feels like a Volvo in that aspect. There's also not really any cup situation holders here. So we have a cup here, for example. You can kind of stuff it in this door bin, but this is a really small bottle, for example, and I wouldn't want to get this fabric dirty. There's no cup holders over here, though thankfully in the center console area over here, oh wait, nope, fold this down, there's no cup holders either. So for back passengers over here, I think it's a little bit of an issue. I guess you could put a cup maybe behind the seat area over here, but there's not a lot of storage space in this rear seat section. In the center console over here, you're going to find your window controls here. So this is actually how you're going to put your windows up and down. Putting the windows all the way down is a nice touch though. So they don't go like halfway down or something. They do go completely full down, which is nice, and they're fully automatic. These buttons also actually feel very premium as well. We also do get 2 USB-C ports back here, a little slot here for your phone, so that's kind of nice, and we have a cubby over here which actually can be removed. So in just like the EX40s or XC40s fashion, with a little trash bin in the center, this gets a whole removable tray with, again, that really cool moose graphic on the side over there, which is a really fun little touch. But that's a cool little storage cubby for a car that doesn't have a lot of storage in the first place. Though we do have a lot of headroom actually, thanks to this massive panoramic glass roof that goes all the way to the rear of the vehicle behind your head. So you actually, I have no issues with my headspace over here. It's just legroom is definitely on the tight side. So these seats, as you can see, are actually a wool blended seat. So it's made out of 30% recycled wool, and I think the rest of it is made out of polyester, I believe. So these seats are really cool in the sense that Volvo says in the winter, they help to warm you naturally just with the material. And in the summer, they actually help to cool because they're breathable. And I totally have felt that this week. Getting inside is pretty easy. The car is pretty low to the ground, like I did mention here. Let's shut up the door. Nice solid thunk there. I'm going to move my seat back just a little bit here, and voila, this is the incredibly minimalist interior of the Volvo EX30. Volvo has gone with the Tesla-esque look in here, with kind of eliminating all buttons, controls, and they've honestly, in my opinion, reinvented how you use an interior interface. So you don't just hop in here, put your foot on the brake, and the car starts actually. You actually have to put the car in drive or reverse, and that will really fully turn on the vehicle. As you can see now, it's on fully. We'll get a confirmation chime there, or I can put it back into park just like that, and it's kind of in a park state. You really have to go out and lock it to turn it off, or there's a complicated way to turn it off through the infotainment system over there. You get that flax trim across the entirety of this dashboard here, which is actually really nice, I think. Soft touch materials up here, and we also have a gigantic Harman Kardon speaker bar in this car. This is your speaker system for the whole EX30 actually, so which is kind of crazy. There's like 5 speakers in there, I think over 1,000 watts of power, and it actually sounds really good, which shocked me. So they kind of save space in the rear. Air vents are really interesting as well. I like how they're not baked into the touchscreen, just a simple open close situation here. We do have ambient lighting though in the cabin though. You can see over here, this is all lit at night. It looks way better than, same thing with the door cards here, and you can adjust that through the themes here in your infotainment system. So you actually have ambiance themes in your EX30. So you can go from Forest Bath to Archipelago. We also have Midsummer, as well as Nordic Twilight and Northern Light. And each of them actually have a sound theme with them as well, which is pretty cool. So they'll change the lighting, give you a cool visual effect if you want to keep this screen on. We're getting an all new steering wheel design from Volvo, and I think this is nice. The steering wheel itself is nice. It's a Squircle kind of style steering wheel here. I think it's really easy to use in terms of, driving the vehicle. I don't find any issues weird with that at all. Now over here we have our wiper stalk, as well as our turn indicator and light controls are here. Over here though, no buttons whatsoever, just that recycled material over here, a little bit more scratchy material. And over here, like I mentioned, we have our drive stalk. So drive, reverse, neutral, park, and pull it down again while you're in drive. You can activate your pilot assist mode. So very similar to how autopilot is almost turned on in Teslas, where that's a double click. This is almost like drive pilot assist there. So that's pretty interesting as well. Also over here, you're going to notice there's no screen. There's also no heads-up display whatsoever. You just have this driver monitor over here for you. What's also a little bit of a big learning curve actually, which kind of took me a few days to get used to, is how this whole interface works overall. So you're going to notice on the door here, there's no window controls or any buttons whatsoever. So to move your front 2 windows down, you're going to have to go to the center over here, just like you did in the rear seat. So push this down, you're going to pull your window down, pull it up, obviously pull it up, automatic of course. But if you want to control the rear windows, just like in some other new German products, you have to actually press this haptic second rear button, and then these become the rear window controls. I'm not the biggest fan of that. I know it's for, cost savings, space savings. It's just a little bit confusing. Same thing with our lock and unlock controls, are these haptic buttons in the center console over here. So that's definitely something you're going to have to get used to in this vehicle. What's also something you're going to have to get used to here is how these buttons and controls work. So on the right hand side of our steering wheel here, very clearly indicated, we have forward reverse track. But then what's not clearly indicated is this is your volume control here. So you can go up for volume, down for volume here, and there's no physical knob in this vehicle. So another way to control your volume is you have to go in the infotainment system. So you press the volume here, and then you can adjust this. You have the voice assistant here. So we have the Google built-in system. You can also use your Siri system as well. So I could just say, hey, Google, turn off the climate control.
Okay. Turning off the auto climate control.
Okay, it turned it off auto, not off. But as you can see, the voice controls are there. They just, you got to be very specific of what you want sometimes. But what's also different is you have to use the screen to control everything from your mirrors and a few other stuff as well. So if you want to control individual lighting controls, you have to go in here, just really leave it on auto most of the time, but you do have a rear fog light. So that's a little funky. That also goes with a few other things in this vehicle as well. So for example, if you want to open your glove box, there is nothing over here. So you press this button here, and your glove box is actually in this little center console area over here, which is actually a decent size, but it is via the touchscreen as well. Same thing with your mirror controls. You have to adjust them with the steering wheel area over here, and you can go left, right, and then you can adjust your side mirrors. You can fold them in and out. But all of that's from the touchscreen system over there as well. So yeah, there's definitely a learning curve to some stuff in here. Also over here, we have storage stuff that I really do want to talk about as well, which we have the glove box. Yes, no glove box over here. This whole centerpiece over here does not open up, and the material over here is somewhat soft. It's a little bit on the harder end, and it gets very dirty easily. Just from putting your elbow here, I've noticed. It's a little bit more on the difficult side to clean, I've noticed as well. But you're going to notice there's no stuff here. So if you want cup holders, you push this in, and you can pull out your cup holder actually. So it can hide away to make this a little storage cubby, or pull out your 2 cup holders right there. You can also push it in one time so you can have 1 cup there, or you can remove this and have some storage space there as well, or hide it completely and have a really big open center console area. This area is also pretty unique. So there's a little bit of a lip here so you can put in like a bag or something, but you can also open up this little trap door situation here, which is magnetic. You can kind of hear it right there. And then you'll reveal very shallow storage space over here, 2 USB-C ports as well. But what's also interesting, I found that if you put anything magnetic on top of here, it'll actually get stuck to this as well, because the magnets kind of go through there, which is interesting. So keep that in mind. But you're also going to find a wireless charging mat over here and a phone slot as well. It has a little bit, and it has this cool little grip section over here, so your phone will actually go in here and stay stuck, so it won't like fly around all over the place. But this is definitely a unique storage solution over here I found in this EX30. I found all this stuff being baked into this rather small-ish screen to be a little bit cumbersome to use. I'm not too sure why they couldn't have put the relatively small-ish screen from the EX90 SUV right here. I think that would be safer, honestly. So I find myself trying to look at my speed. I really have to turn my head over here, and the font is so small. All this font is really tiny over here for your park, reverse, neutral, drive, all that stuff, charge status, even your efficiency information is really on the smaller end of things. What I do like about this system though is it's quick. Everything's very quick to respond. All the menus work really well. I haven't had any issues with it this week. The software, once you get used to it, does make sense, but it is a learning curve. So as you can see in this vehicle, you have this top section up here, which will always be your speed. It will always be your drive information. I'm going to put the vehicle on drive here. You can see your speed will pop up there. I can also adjust that via this button here. And you can see when I tap these buttons here, they actually display on the screen. So I can see if I'm tapping this button, I can make the screen centered for our speed, or I can make it have a driver assisted view here as well. I can also configure this button to be our 1-pedal drive on and off feature as well. And these buttons over here, which also appear on the screen, will adjust our speed for our Pro Pilot Assist system, and I can turn our steering assist on or off there. This center section over here will always be your infotainment section, and down here is kind of where you'll have like this multi-function bar, and down here over here on this final lower section is where you're going to find climate controls and your main kind of menu bar. Then this will bring us to our app drawer. So we have all of this fun stuff here, but what's really cool about this car is you can still have Apple CarPlay, you can watch YouTube, and you can go into the Google Play Store if you have an account signed in, and you can download things like a web browser, Spotify, you can download trip planners, built-in ways. So since this car doesn't have Android Auto, for example, it's an Android-based system, you really just need to sign into your Google account and log into all your apps, which is pretty cool. But for us Apple users, we do have Apple CarPlay, which does work wirelessly in the vehicle. So thankfully that is still here in this Volvo. We do have a pretty good parking camera system in here. We finally got these really nice advanced 360 cameras in the vehicle. This is only available in this top trim though. You can kind of swipe around like this. You can also kind of switch through all of these views right here, just like this, or you can do the 3D view as well. So you kind of scroll around your EX30 like that. So if you want to adjust any climate stuff, you have to press your temperature here, for example. This will bring up a quick access climate bar, so you can quickly change your temperature there. You can sync it, you can adjust your heated seats or steering wheel for the front passengers as well. But if you want to go for some more stuff here, you can also go into this little fan icon here, and that will bring up your full climate screen here. This car also has an air quality meter as well, which is kind of cool. Like I mentioned on this screen, this is your quick access controls to a lot of stuff. So like I mentioned, you can turn on and off 1-pedal drive here, your lane keep aid, trunk open, all that quick stuff here. Then we go to settings over here, and this is more stuff. So in here is where we're going to be able to adjust some more stuff. So our time interval to the vehicle ahead for our pilot assist system, our driving dynamics. So we can again turn 1-pedal drive on or off. We can adjust our steering feel from soft, medium to firm. We're going to activate our performance all-wheel drive. There's a hill descent control in here, as well as traction control off. We do have quick access buttons up here for our defrosting, which is different. We also have some interior lighting controls as well in here, which also are dimmable, but there's no like central lighting system in the vehicle. And one thing I haven't seen in a modern vehicle really these days is when you open up your sun visor here, open this up, there is no light in here whatsoever. Also, this giant panoramic glass roof is very nice, but again, there's no shade to open or close it, no dimmable function. It is tinted, but I haven't really noticed too much sun really feeling like it's heating up the cabin that much, but it definitely will be a little bit more noticeable in hotter climates. So definitely keep that in mind as well. So yeah, guys, this is a very, very unique minimalist cabin, and I almost forgot to mention how the seat controls work. So it's a little square dial over here, and if you want to adjust things, a menu will pop up on your screen here. So if I move it up and back, you kind of twist it, but if I press the center button over here, you're going to see what happens. So this is, you press it once, that's how you adjust your lumbar. Press it again, you go back to your basic adjustments. Press the center again, you can do tilt for your thigh support, and again lumbar again. So it's an interesting system. I do like that you can use both this one and the passenger one will both pop up side by side at the same time if you're both doing it, so it's not going to take priority. So yeah, everyone, to sum up the Volvo EX30's cabin, it is a learning curve. I would definitely spend some time in this car, either with your salesperson or, you know, watching some reviews and getting used to all of the controls in here, because it is definitely something to get used to. Over this week of testing, though, I have gotten used to it. I would say generally, I just don't particularly prefer how everything is squished in this rather tiny-ish screen. Otherwise, it feels very premium in here, build quality-wise. It's an upscale entry-level EV cabin, I would say. And again, if you don't like this wool blend, if you don't like this trim, you have a few different options on the Volvo configurator as well. But let's go take this thing on a drive now and see how it is out on the road. Okay, everyone, so it's been 1 week now with this 2025 Volvo EX30 and the most decked out trim you can get with the ultimate twin motor performance style model here. So we have 422 horsepower, 400 pound-feet of torque. This thing is wild on the performance-wise side of this. As a overall vehicle, if you've seen our full touring review, it has a lot of quirks, I would say, and there's a lot of things that I'm going to get out of the way first so I can just kind of talk about the things I do like about the vehicle. So coming to a stop here, one thing I have an issue with in this car is the one pedal driving function. So there's really one toggle here. So we have one pedal drive on or off. It's right here on the screen. You can also make it be this button right here. It doesn't work. It's not a good one pedal drive system. It's not predictable, I would say. A lot of one pedal drive systems, you have a prediction of kind of when you can come to a full stop confidently, you get used to it. This does different things in different scenarios, actually. So that's something weird I did notice over the course of this week of testing. Other than that, I think the vehicle is generally pretty good with its driving dynamics. Steering is very Volvo-esque in the sense of it's very light and there's not a lot of feel, though I have to say in terms of, you know, responsiveness, this is actually probably the best Volvo I've ever had. You have 3 adjustments in your infotainment screen. It just takes 3 or 4 taps to actually get to that adjustment, so you cannot do that on the fly. Around town, this is just a wonderful car, I would say. The suspension is fantastic. This car is so quiet on here. That's just getting out of the things that I don't really like about the car. I think needs some work. Right into the stuff we like here. I think it's just a great city car in that aspect. It's perfect in terms of its size. The maneuverability is just wonderful. Parking it is so easy, and on top of that, you have a parking assistant now in this particular one, so it'll, you know, pull you into a spot, which is really nice. But what really always gets you in this car is the truly wild acceleration that this thing can provide. Just going up a hill here, oh, just floor it, and you're up to speed already really instantly, which is really nice. My one other small thing about this vehicle that's a little funky, other than all the crazy interior quirks that you can definitely go check out in the full touring review, there's no shade for this sunroof. I haven't found it to be the hottest thing whatsoever. I've experienced some more ones in EVs that are a little bit warmer that don't have a shade, but you know, you may want to go with some sort of metal roof option there, because no shade can be a little bit of a deal breaker for some people in some warmer climates. There is a performance all-wheel drive mode as well. You just got to go through 1, 2, 3, 4 settings to get that, and this reduces the throttle kind of softening. So in regular driving experience, throttle is softened. This, it just launches, it will spin the tires, it just goes, and 0 to 60 happens in around 3.5 seconds in this tiny little Volvo of all things, which is really crazy. So if you want to use that, you can do that. It prioritizes performance versus efficiency. So now out here on the highway, we do have Volvo's Pilot Assist system as well on this particular EX30 trim we have here, and it works just as good as in other Volvos. activating it though is pretty interesting. So unlike on other Volvos, instead of using your steering wheel controls, you actually use your gear selector here. So in very similar fashion to what you would find in a Tesla, you pull where you particularly use drive down one more time, and that actually activates your pilot assist function. You just pull it down again to deactivate it. That is definitely something that's a little bit different for Volvo customers. If you're used to how you activate pilot assist, this is a totally different way now of doing so. So that's pretty interesting. And if you want to adjust your following distance between the vehicle from you and behind you, you are going to actually have to go into the infotainment system and change that there, which is a little bit frustrating, I think, to me. Now, activating it is pretty easy. Like I mentioned, you just press it down once and voila, you're on. Now, here are some interesting differences here. So you could actually change it from steering assisted mode, which we are in right now, where we have full lane keep centering and steering assist, but you do always have to have your hands on the wheel. You put your finger on this little steering wheel icon here, tap that once, and now it's just regular radar adaptive cruise control. You can see that confirmed up in your little display up there. Tap it again and you're right back on. Now, a weird thing that I have noticed on this car that I'm not too sure why they did this is that when you want to increase your speed, for example, pressing it once increases it by an increment of 5 in either direction. So I have it set to 75 right now. I'm going to set it back down to, let's say, 60, so I can do that 2 or 3 times. Now, if you want to change the speed individually, you actually hold it. So I'm going to increase now, hold the plus button, and it's going to 1, 2, 3, and it does it like that. I have not seen that actually on other vehicles. Typically what you would do is individual presses change it by 1, a hold down press would change it by increments of 5. I'm not so sure how I feel about that. I feel like on a more normal basis, you would want to increase the speed by 1, which is interesting. So that's, again, something you may want to get used to there. And you also have this display up here, if you're not sure if you can see this on camera, showing us our lane. It has like a green indication on right now that we are in the lane for our pilot assist function here. We can get rid of that. So if I have my multi-function screen button right here set to change the screen, I can just center, there we go, double press there. It centers the speed in the center there and gets rid of that display if you find it too distracting, or you can open it back up like I have it, which I actually kind of like it like that because it makes the speed closer to the left side of this middle screen. You can also, like I mentioned, configure this button to adjust the one pedal drive functionality, but I don't really change it that much, so I usually just have it left in this quick access button panel over here, which I think is where it's fine living. But yeah, this is how you use the pilot assist system in the EX90. Nothing crazy like, you know, a Tesla full self-driving or Super Cruise or anything like that. It's just a good old reliable Volvo's pilot assist system, and it works great. It's trustworthy, I'm confident, and I like it. So yeah, that's what you're going to get out here on the highway in the EX30. And again, even on the highway here, it's just so quiet. Going over bumps, again, it's a small wheelbase, it's a small vehicle. The whole vehicle you may feel some more movements than in a longer, larger EV, but they're all very, very well damped. It's very, very quiet in here still at the end of the day. And there's no wind buffeting. Maybe a little bit of road noise from these 19-inch wheels and tires, maybe a little bit under the cabin, but it's just kept to such a minimum that it's really not a bother whatsoever in this vehicle as a driver. And as always, guys, thank you for joining me on yet another review over at Allcarnews.